Hello, everyone. This is Kailey and Peggy today, here again with another episode of Grief and Brief through Henry Ford's SandCastles. And today we're talking about the importance of recognizing our grief in the workplace. I think that across the board, in many different countries around the world, we're given way too little bereavement leave after someone we love has died. Supervisors receive little to no training in how to support a grieving employee, and many colleagues don't know how to talk about it. At most workplaces in the US, a few days after a life shattering loss, employees are back at work in the thick of their grief. And in a lot of situations, after only a few days, we might not even have attended the funeral.
This is an important conversation because for many of us, the workplace is where we spend a lot of our time. And unfortunately, there's no switch to turn off grief when we go to work. So we must learn to process that in our day to day, which includes all the hours we spend where we're employed. We just went through this massive loss, and now we need to pick up the pieces and pretend that life goes back to normal immediately after it, that our productivity stays the same, that our emotions are easily contained, and that we can compartmentalize our grief somehow and tuck it away between hours of 9 and 5 or whenever we're on the clock. And not only that, but our grief is long term. After the initial weeks, we might think that we are almost over it or might have a good day and might not realize that grief is not simply a task to be completed. Our grief sticks with us and it's a lifelong journey. So don't be afraid to tell your employer what you need. Most employers are probably or hopefully like lucky enough to not really realize how grief may impact you in your day to day. They may not realize that you can forget things, or it might take a little bit longer for you to complete tasks, or it might be incredibly difficult to just sit at your desk and pretend that your life wasn't just completely turned upside down.
All that being said, the greatest thing a truly supportive workplace can do for its employees after a death is to keep open lines of communication, to allow for employees to have a space to share their feelings with their manager, and giving options to employees when a death occurs in their life. If you're a manager, you might offer options like taking a longer break or working a few days from home while your employee is in the thick of their grief. This lets everyone in your workplace know that it's okay to feel what you're feeling. And it helps to create that space to be able to tell the people that we work with that we're having a hard grief day and maybe even need additional support.
Now, on the flip side of this open line of communication, though, is that some people enjoy the distraction after a loss. Grief is unique for everyone. And sometimes people can be nosy or judgmental, and we aren't all comfortable talking about our grief at work. So if you don't feel comfortable talking about it with your colleagues, you can say something like, this week has been really difficult for me, and I appreciate you asking because it lets me know that I have someone to talk to if I need it. Or maybe, whoa, I don't feel comfortable talking about it right now. I am grateful that I have your support when I need it most. And if you'd like to keep that line of communication open, you can always try something like, I'm not doing so great today, but please feel free to keep asking me because it does mean a lot to me.
Death anniversaries, birthdays, and other special days can also be difficult. And not only the day, but sometimes the anticipation in the days leading up to them can be stressful and full of emotion. Something that might help in those situations is taking a break. Maybe that's literally taking a day off, either on the special day or the day before it, even to allow yourself to recharge your batteries or to allow yourself to feel those emotions that you might be feeling outside of your workplace. And when our loss isn't acknowledged at work, it can create a culture and environment that feels isolating. And if you're stuck in a situation where you feel unsupported by your manager or your employer, know that you have options. Your HR department is there to support its employees. So if your direct manager or supervisor isn't being supportive of your grief, feel free to reach out to your HR department and let them know what's going on. They should be able to help.
Through this journey, we encourage you to be gentle on yourself. And know that navigating grief at work is hard. So take a couple minutes to get away from your desk if you need to. If you need a moment to yourself, get up, take a short walk, go to the water cooler and drink a glass of water, or go outside and take a few breath, deep breaths of fresh air. There's nothing better than a deep breath of fresh air. It can help us to kind of reset our body and keep going. There's also a lot of great resources out there that you can use. One of our favorites is the What's Your Grief website. There are many really great grief related articles and relatable content, both on their website and their social media channels. Or another one is called Actively Moving Forward. It's an app, it's a program of the Heal Grief program. And if you're looking for a social media platform with fellow grievers, it's a closed community. It's a great resource.
And as always, check out our SandCastles website. You can find us at aboutsandcastles.org for more information and our resources, or follow along with us on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn for our current offerings and updates.